Hi and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know this is a bit later than usual, but I've been a bit busy of late, so I haven't had much time to deliver a video until now. But this is about a review for the second legs of the Champions League and Europa League semi-finals that took place last week, and I'll review all of the action and tell you who's through to the final of each competition. So, beginning on Tuesday night, it was the second leg between Manchester City and Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League semi-finals. City were 2-1 up from the first leg in Paris, and they pretty much won this tie in a comfortable way, really, because PSG never really got themselves into the game. City extended their aggregate lead early on through Riyad Mahrez with a good finish from a tight angle through Keylor Navas's legs. And even though the Parisians tried to get themselves back into the game, they really lacked that cutting edge and cohesion to really open City up. And even though they did have shots on goal, they were blocked superbly by the likes of Ruben Diaz and John Stones in that middle of the City defence. And you just get the feeling as the game wore on that it was not going to be their night, PSG, and Mahrez pretty much booked City's ticket through to the final with a second goal, finishing at the far post after a lovely cut back in from the opposite side. And that was that. PSG did end up with 10 men as they did in the first leg after a sending off by Angel Di Maria for I think it was a stamp on Phil Foden, I think it was, and petulant to say the least, and it summed up pretty much PSG's performance over the two legs, pretty much second best in every department, and City are deservedly through to their first ever Champions League final, and taking that last step towards realising their owner's dream of finally winning the competition they craved the most, the Champions League. After so many years of disappointment and investment, they've come close on several occasions but haven't taken that last step, and now here they are in the final. Another win and they'll be amongst the European superpowers as a relatively relatively new territory for them as a club. They haven't been in, the past decade has seen them compete in the Champions League on pretty much every single season, but they haven't really come that close to achieving glory in this competition until now, and maybe Pep Guardiola can finally end that tag of winning the Champions League only with Messi in his team when he was at Barcelona. So he is one step away from delivering the owner's dream of winning the Champions League, and who knows how they'll get on in the final. They'll face Chelsea, who beat Real Madrid 2-0 at Stamford Bridge to win 3-1 on aggregate. On Wednesday night, Chelsea had a slight advantage after their away goal in a draw in Spain last week, and even though Real Madrid were the better side early on, Chelsea pressed home their advantage with a goal from Timo Werner. He headed into an empty net from pretty much on the goal line after Kai Havertz's chip looped onto the crossbar and fell perfectly into his German teammate's path, and 1-0 up, Chelsea could pretty much just defend for the whole game and snuff out any threat that Real Madrid really had of getting themselves back into the tie, and they've sealed the game pretty much late on through Mason Mount after he tucked in a cross from the right, and Chelsea, whose season looked to be going nowhere when Lampard was sacked in near the end of January, are suddenly into the Champions League final under Thomas Tuchel, who took PSG this far in last season's competition. But can he go one better than the previous season and win the Champions League at the expense of Guardiola? Who knows? Set up to be a very interesting match between Chelsea and Manchester City in the Champions League final. Chelsea have had the better of City in recent head-to-heads, winning in the Premier League at the weekend to stop City wrapping up the Premier League title early on, and they also beat them in the FA Cup semi-final last month. So will it be third time lucky for Tuchel and his men in, I was going to say the final will be in Istanbul, but Turkey is one of the countries that's actually on red alert from the UK, so listed as red in the UK. So they may move that. There's potentially the fact that the final could be moved to Wembley to accommodate fans that are going to return to stadiums later this month. But even regardless of where the venue is, it's set up to be a very tantalising encounter between two teams who've had very good seasons so far. Chelsea could win the FA Cup and the Champions League, whilst City could win the treble, having already won the League Cup and are still on course to win the Premier League. So could be fantastic seasons for both. But I think whoever comes out on top will be really delighted with their season and their work. So props off to them for making it another all-English final as it was two years ago. So it will be interesting to see who lifts that trophy and realises their dream of European glory. And then moving on to the Europa League on Thursday night, the big encounter was between Arsenal and Villarreal at the Emirates. Villarreal were 2-1 up from the first leg in Spain, which meant that Arsenal only needed to score once without conceding to make it through to the final. But they couldn't even manage that in what was a lacklustre display by the Gunners, particularly as their season pretty much hinged on this. Not going to qualify for the European football for their own domestic league and pretty much out of every other cup competition. Their season hinged on this game against Villarreal, but they lacked any real urgency to find that goal that would take them through, and pretty much summed up Arteta when he took Aubameyang off with a few minutes left, even after he went close to scoring when he hit the post with a volley. So that was a bit of a baffling decision by him, and that pretty much cost Arsenal the tie, really. His tactics over the two legs were very questionable. Playing a false nine in the first leg in Spain didn't really work at all. And in the second leg, they weren't much better. And as a result, they go out at the hands of their former manager, Unai Emery, which will be a sickening blow for them. Unai Emery, the former Arsenal manager, takes Villarreal through to their first ever European final, and a step towards winning the Europa League and a route back into the Champions League, given they're lying, 7th in La Liga. So this could be their route back into Europe's main competition, but they'll have to beat Manchester United in the final in Gdansk after Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side reached their first ever final under his management after 4 semi-final failures. Pretty much had the tie wrapped up in the first leg, 6-2 up. Roma weren't really going to score 4 goals without reply, let's be honest, and that pretty much proved to be the case. Roma did actually win on the night 3-2, but it was nowhere near enough to turn the tie around, and United are through to yet another Europa League final and on course to repeat their success of 2017 under Jose Mourinho. So maybe this season, which has had a lot of questions asked about Solskjaer, could end on a high for them. But they've got to improve on their performance in Rome. Roma were much the better side and could have scored more goals, but they did go behind through Edinson Cavani, who's been a scourge of the Italians throughout the 2 legs. Involved in 6 of the 8 goals that United scored in the tie, and he was their nemesis once again in the Italian capital, opening the scoring to make it 1-0. But Roma did equalise close to the half-hour mark. I think it was Dzeko who pulled one back from close range, and then a few minutes later they made it 2-1 through Borja Mayoral. And even though it was still a tough ask, you just got that sneaky feeling that Roma could pull it off, but United pretty much snuffed out that threat, Cavani adding a second with a header into the back of the net. But Roma did win on the night with a third goal. I think it was Lorenzo Pellegrini who scored their third goal, and with a finish into the top corner. And Roma had their win, but it wasn't enough. They go out 8-5 on aggregate. And so Manchester United will face Villarreal for winning the Europa League and a spot back in the Champions League. United are pretty much assured of a place in the Champions League through their own domestic league. So the onus really is on Villarreal to win and get themselves back into that competition as well. So it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top in Gdansk later this month. United are firm favourites given their superior quality over their opponents, and they've got much more European experience than them. So it wouldn't be a surprise if they win, but who knows? Villarreal might have other ideas and could pull off a major upset. So it'll be interesting to see how the game pans out in Gdansk later this month. And yeah, I was also going to tell you about some of the title races that are happening around Europe in some of Europe's major leagues as well. I've promised that I'll do that in my previous videos, and I'll do a bit of that here as well. Starting off with the Premier League, City are even though they lost to Chelsea the weekend, they're pretty much still on course to win the Premier League. They only need one more win or another United loss, and they'll be fine. But United have the chance to put some bit of pressure on this week. They've got 2 games in the space of like 48 hours. First tonight against Leicester City, who themselves need points to reinforce their aspirations of a place in the top 4 and Champions League football next season. So, and then they face another side with Champions League aspirations on Thursday in Liverpool as well. So Manchester United, well, could they get the business done within those next 48 hours and keep City winning for the title? Because the loss in either game and that'll mean that Pep Guardiola and his side will have wrapped up the title without kicking a ball. So pressure's slightly on United. I don't think that they were ever really in contention to win the title, but I think for Solskjaer, he'll want to delay the title party as long as possible. But whether he'll do that in the next few days remains to be seen. And going from the weekend, there was some big results. I think West Brom and Fulham have both gone down after defeats to Fulham, I think to Arsenal and Burnley respectively, and there's still quite a battle for the top 4 with about 6 teams still in with a chance of making it into the Champions League. So it'll be interesting to see which 2 teams finish behind United and City in that regard as well. In one of the other European leagues, it's a very tantalising title race in La Liga between 3 teams who are separated by just 2 points with 3 games to go. Atletico Madrid are top with 77 points, and their 2 main rivals, Real Madrid and Barcelona, are second and third respectively on 75, with Madrid ahead of Barcelona due to their superior head-to-head record. But Atletico nonetheless can ill afford another slip-up, otherwise if they finish level on points with Real, they lose out because Zinedine Zidane's side have a superior head-to-head record with them as well. So still all to play for. Atletico have got some tough fixtures remaining. They've got Sociedad next and Osasuna at home, and not easy games for them, so they'll be looking to pick up all 3 points in their last 3 games to seal the title. And after what looked like they looked on course to do it earlier on in the season quite comfortably, but a slump in form in recent months has let their 2 main rivals back into the title equation. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top at the end of this season, given all 3 sides have looked like they could give away the title to their other rivals within a few weeks, having slipped up so many times. And it'll be interesting to see, as I said, who will come out at the top at the end of the season. In Liga, there's also a title race going on between Lille and Paris Saint-Germain. Lille are 3 points ahead of Pochettino's side with only 2 games to go, so need only 4 more points to seal the title. And if that were to occur, it'll be a very disappointing campaign for Paris Saint-Germain. No domestic honours and no European honours as well, and even though Pochettino only joined at the halfway point of the season, he'll be under pressure to perform at that club next season and try and deliver the silverware that they crave the most, which is the Champions League. So plenty of soul searching for him and his team to do, and yeah, the race for third and fourth isn't over as well. Monaco and Lyon, they look like they're out of the title equation, and so they're pretty much battling for third place to see who will get into the Champions League next season. So Monaco are currently ahead by a point, but anything can change within the last two games. So all to play for there. And in Serie A, the titles race is done. Inter Milan have won their first title in 10 years. But below them, there's a huge scrap as to who will finish in the top four and get into next season's Champions League. Currently, the places are occupied by Atalanta, AC Milan, and Napoli, and with Juventus in real danger of dropping into the Europa League, and that potentially could be the end of Cristiano Ronaldo at his time at the club. And yeah, they've got to fix up their issues if they're to try and somehow turn their season around and get themselves a place in next season's Champions League. It's been a very disappointing season by their standards. Juventus been very inconsistent as a team and haven't really showed the form that's expected of them to really challenge for major honours this season. So plenty of soul searching for them as well ahead of next season. But if they don't make it into next season's Champions League, then it'll be an absolute disaster for them, really. Ronaldo will probably leave, and that could be the end of Juventus Football Club as a major contender in Europe as well. So, yes, plenty going on in Serie A, as is in the Bundesliga as well, where the title's also sealed by Bayern Munich, even though they didn't actually... Even for that was because Leipzig lost against Borussia Dortmund as well, so it wasn't of their own making, but they still managed to celebrate by beating Gladbach 6-0 in the later game in the Bundesliga. Leipzig also got Champions League football as well, so really the third and fourth spots are going to be between Wolfsburg, Dortmund and Eintracht Frankfurt. The first two are currently in those positions. Dortmund have been on a great run of late. They've won their last 5 games, and I don't think they'll have any real problems securing one of those 4 Champions League spots. And Wolfsburg look to be fine themselves. They've had a bit of a wobble of late, but they've steadied the ship somewhat, and they look to be the other side that's going to seal a place in the Champions League. I know they've got Leipzig next, and Eintracht Frankfurt have got, on paper, 2 more easier games, but Frankfurt have not really been the same since their manager confirmed that he was leaving at the end of the season, and will it be more disappointment for them in their pursuit of Champions League football? Who knows, but they'll need to rely on one of the teams above them to drop points and for themselves to win if they're to get themselves into the Champions League next season. And yeah, that's about it for my review of the Big 5 European leagues. There are other European leagues in leagues around Europe, but pretty much the title race is done in all of them. Ajax have won the Eredivisie, and Dynamo Kiev have won the Ukrainian league as well. Sporting Lisbon are on course to win the Portuguese league title and break that dominance by Benfica and Porto in that league as well. So be a great season for them. They could do it unbeaten as well, which would be the icing on the cake, perhaps. And Rangers have won the title in Scotland pretty comfortably. Celtic weren't really in with a shout of challenging them at all, really. Been a very disappointing campaign for them. No trophies for the first time in many years for Celtic, and there's a major rebuilding job to be done at that club if they're to want to wrestle that title back from Rangers, who've been so dominant domestically, still unbeaten actually, and given how they've performed this season, they could dominate the league just like Celtic did in the past decade. So who knows, but for this season, it's Rangers' season. They've celebrated their title success. They could celebrate their title success by going unbeaten, just like Sporting Lisbon as well. So that'll be the aim for them for Gerrard and his team for the rest of the season. But it's been a fantastic one for them nonetheless. And yeah, that's all of my review of the latest action in the sport, should I say. there's plenty more still to play for within the coming weeks and months, and after the season ends, there'll be the Euro 2021. I think there's going to be fans back in the stadiums, and some fans back in the stadiums for some of those matches, which would be great, but not entirely full house, I think. And it will be interesting to see how some of those players who are playing in like the Champions League or the Europa League can cope with having to play football again within the next few weeks. So yeah, all set up to be a very interesting climax to the season, and I'll look forward to reviewing all of that very soon. But as for now, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Thank you for listening to my video once again, and enjoying what I've got to say on here. And hopefully we'll produce content of a similar nature or better on this channel within the next few weeks and months. So stay tuned, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day as usual. I'm out of here.